the meeting back in order after our closed session. Give me a second to get to my spot. So we're reconvening into open session. I'm going to announce the reportable actions that were taken in closed session. It was a fairly long list here, so hang in there with me. Okay, first we had a unanimous approval of the personnel agenda. Next came some settlement agreements. OAH case number 2015.01, the settlement approval for resolution of a pending litigation was approved unanimously. Case OAH number 2014-09-0183, settlement approval for a resolution of an existing litigation. And on the third case, which is OAH case number 2014-09-0296, we have decided to delay that decision until a future meeting. That's the first one. Yeah. Okay. And then the last item of business in closed session was a unanimous approval of a student waiver. Okay, take that. So now I need an approval of our agenda, including time limits. May I have that, please?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Then on the approval of the consent agenda, are there any changes or movements? I do have one, I know for sure, so I'm going to go ahead and just jump on that. So out of the consent agenda, I am moving item 15E. No, it's not. Yeah, 15E, which is procurement of goods and services for field turf at Tamalpais High School, from out of consent and into considerations. And I'm actually going to put it after this, just right after the solars, since Tony will be here for the solars. That way he doesn't have to stay till the end of the meeting. Okay. Then the other item I know will be removed is 15G, which is a waiver of graduation. We are removing that until a future date.
And can we move 15P?
Okay, so I have a motion to move 15P. So I'll put that at the end. Okay, any other comments from the board on the consent agenda? Any comments from the public on the consent agenda?
Oh wait, I have something.
Yes.
So the first thing you said about the TAM chart, so that's what,
Yeah.
okay, so we're just going to be considering turf.
Yeah, instead of having in the consent where it would automatically just be approved, I'm moving it up to where we'll be talking about it to get a little more information on it.
That'll be today?
Yes. Okay. Any other public comments? Okay, could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, very good. So approval of the consent agenda with the changes. Okay, then board president's report. So I'm going to start out right away with, I had a call over the weekend from Lori Kimbrell. Her daughter is very ill, and so she has flown back to Virginia. She'll be back on hopefully Thursday night. She's right now planning. I talked to her again today. It's looking like she'll be back Thursday night at some point, so she'll be back in the office Friday, just so everybody knows. Then I also wanted to report that we had our superintendent search meeting beginning last week and thank those that came. So it was the board's opportunity to give their input on what we're looking for superintendent. So I thought that was great. And then I want to take a minute and thank Tara Tobier. Is she here? Thank you, Tara. Today, Tara made live on our website the superintendent search information. So the survey is up. It'll be up until April 1st, so you can do it online. There's also the letter with the dates for when forums are going to be. Everything went out today to parents and community members. So it's all up and out, and that great deal of it was thank you to Tara. I just wanted to do that. Yes. Okay, so then that's it for President's report. Good news. Do I have good news?
I have a large group.
Gotta say, got lots of good news.
It is my pleasure to introduce to you our Redwood wrestling team, who this year, for the first time in school history, went undefeated. And as our athletic director and our coaches will tell you, as much as I love that they went undefeated and did really well, I love the team that they are and the togetherness that they show and the sportsmanship that they show. And you'll notice we got 60 or 70% of them here, which all I did was make a call to the coach and said, hey, can you bring some of the players? And boom, with all these guys. And they're a great team, and I'm going to introduce you to Alan Morris, their coach.
Thanks for giving the team some acknowledgement. They've been working hard, and we work in the multi-purpose room behind the main gym with the doors closed, so people don't really see us very often. So I think that's why we had a good turnout today. But wrestling is a sport that requires a lot of deferred gratification, because even the very best athletes are not very good for the first year. Maybe they're okay the second year. It really takes about 3 years. So it's really been a pleasure to watch these guys working hard, and our team captains, Brian Finchie and Eli Kahn, and Hannah Toomey couldn't make it tonight, but she did very well this year also. She qualified, she took second in NCS, girls NCS, and qualified for the state championships. So, and then I also want to say thanks to our assistant coaches. It's always rewarding to see alumni come back, and Jordan Waltz wrestled for us previously, and he's helping us this year. And I don't know if you know who Kristen Esterheld is, but she was a very formidable presence on the Redwood campus a few years ago, and she's been an assistant coach for several years now. So it's been really great to see these guys work hard, and now it's paying off. So thanks for all your support.
Thank you very much for coming. It's just great to be able to honor you, and especially after such a great season. And we've been hearing good things about you, so thank you very much for coming.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay, next item is student trustee reports. So we start at the end.
Is on now?
Yep.
Great. So, over the past couple months, Drake has really been focusing on and continue to focus on raising awareness, both locally but also on the global level. Just last Monday, we had our annual Drake on the Same Page night, which is brought to us by the Drake Fund. And this year, we actually had a Holocaust survivor come and speak to us, Mr. Adler. So he spoke about his experience in Poland and in the camps there. And his son, Eli Adler, was also there, and he is actually creating a movie about it. And in the movie includes his father and his father's story. So it was a really, really powerful night. I was fortunate to attend it. Our student center was completely packed. We ran out of chairs. Kids were standing in the back. It was super well attended by all grade levels, parents, community members, and overall just a really great success. This week is our Drake Peer Resources Distracted Driving Awareness Week. They've been putting on a number of awareness weeks, but this is one of their biggest ones, and they're really using a variety of methods to get the word out there. You can take a pledge during lunch or break to not text and drive. They've made videos and sort of scenarios within the videos related to distracted driving. Currently, on next to the senior tree, which is sort of the senior quad area, there is a parked car with statistics written all over it related to driving while distracted and texting and driving. So they have really just been working really hard, putting a ton of effort in to promote awareness about this issue as well as a number of others. Our Drake ASB, or Student Council, for the past few months has been putting on what we call appreciation ambushes. So that's sort of going out into our community and appreciating local businesses that are popular among Drake students and often serve Drake students. So examples of those, if you're familiar, are Barton's Bagels, where it's just surrounded by kids at lunchtime, as well as the Perry's Deli. We've also appreciated the custodians at our school, so kind of a variety of groups. We'll go to them, totally a surprise for them, and bring them posters and flowers and just say some kind words about what they're doing and how it impacts the Drake community and the Drake students. And looking into the future, CEDIS, which is our environmental academy, is currently working on Earth Day, which is always super popular. It's a really great event during the school day. It's not on Earth Day this year, but it's very close to it. So that is something that kids always love, and it's just a great way to spread awareness in a fun way.
Do you have a date on that yet?
We do have it, but I don't personally have it. Miss Seabury might have it. April
April
24th.
24th. Okay, thanks. I went one year, it's really.
Last Thursday at Tamascal, we had our open house, and it's a great opportunity for both current parents to reconnect with teachers and for prospective families to learn more about what Tamascal has to offer. So we had a few veteran Tamascal students talk about their experiences, and then there was also a chance for parents to mingle with teachers. And I saw a couple board members there. It was great to have you guys. Team has had a busy couple of weeks. They went to Angel Island recently. I think it was for 2 nights, and they did some service work and learned more about the immigrants that passed through there. And they also had one of their practical wilderness medicine assessments where some former students and teachers pretend to be injured like they would be in the wilderness, and the team students have to diagnose the injury and kind of decide what they would do with somebody if they were actually injured. And then also our AP Comp class would like to invite the board members to come see our presentations about marginalized groups in our community. Our presentations are this Thursday from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at Carlisle. And we have 3 different groups. One is presenting about students with autism, one about the LGBTQ community, and one about Latinos in our district.
Let me make sure I have this right. Thursday from 1 to 3?
Mm-hmm. At Carlisle.
And Carlisle. Yeah. Thank you very much.
So at TAM, spring sports have just started, and all is going really well. The golf team just had an all-day tournament, and I heard they did pretty well. CTE drama production, The Future Lives in Eggs, just wrapped up last week. Sounds pretty quirky and cool. And the interview by CTE Drama is going to be going on from February 27th to March 3rd. So you're definitely welcome to come see a show. We would very much appreciate you to come. Also, last week, our Model UN students went to New York, and they learned all about diplomacy and international relations, and they took part in debates about foreign affairs. Right now, leadership is working on their ASB and class elections, so we're planning on how we're going to elect our new representatives. Should they be from the leadership class? How are we going to do this? And we just watched a really cool documentary on how a school in New York did their elections, and we're picking up some tips from them. Hopefully it'll be a really good year for elections. Mock trial is preparing to go to state. Woo! Super exciting. I am really proud of them. They're very impressive. It'll be in Riverside, and we wish them the best of luck. Also, we just had a spring showcase during tutorial. I think it was Friday before last, and it was really amazing. There's a lot of great talent there. One student did a really comedic type song for a long time, but it was very funny. And definitely showed off some good guitar talent. Healthcare Club, which I am in, we are going to the Buck Institute tomorrow. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a scientific research laboratory. They do all sorts of research on aging and Alzheimer's disease and other things. And I have been there before, and it's one of the most amazing places I've ever been. It's up in Nevada. It's quite breathtaking. Also, so there have been a lot of changes at TAM in the past year with the curriculum. And so right now, I'm working with Dr. Sinyard along with a couple other students to really understand what is happening, what are the effects of the changes that we've seen, and right now we're brainstorming formats to address the concerns and questions that the student body might have for Dr. Sinyard and how they're coping with these changes and whether or not they like them, if it's working out, if it's not, what's good, what's bad. And so we're having a principals chat where we'll be talking about that along with the Student Advisory Council. We're also looking into other venues in which the student body can have a voice about the changes. So I think it's very important that we should definitely have the results of what's happening should be brought to the board and to the students and to the parents so that everybody can really see what is happening. And I think it's a good thing. People need to think about whether or not these changes are helping us. Also, we had our first ELAC meeting, which is for English Language Advisory Committee. There wasn't that great of attendance, but we're going to continue to try and have more meetings so that we can keep on improving on our English language learners department. And everything at TAM has been going really well. Wrapping up the school year.
Great, thank you very much, Emily. Sounds like you have some busy over there. Okay, the next item is number 12, is public comment. And this is the time where the public can comment on anything not on the agenda. Just ask you to stay within our 3-minute policy limit. And if you'd please line up so I have an idea of how many people will be speaking, I'd appreciate that. Helps me get my timing. Okay. Avery, you want to do number 1? Or not?
Hello, my name is Avery Flasher-Dusgash. I am a graduate of the TAM district, and I'm coming again because last time I didn't get to finish what I was saying because I was reading some of the Tom O'Hara comments. So, so first of all, I don't agree with Lori Kimbrell. I just want to start off by saying I don't agree with Lori Kimbrell calling parents extremists. They are my fellow community members, and it is unacceptable to me. I've started exposing administrators' illegalities, and I'm coming a 5th time to continue. I encourage watching me and other parents speaking from previous meetings on the Friends of TAM District YouTube channel. And I'm going to start off by saying, parents, if you're watching, I would be very cautious around matters with IEPs in this district. Me and my parents thought an IEP would be beneficial when I was going through a hard time in high school, and I thought that authority figures could be trusted because I was brought up that way, but I was sadly mistaken. Again, to everyone watching, whether it be this room or YouTube, I would advise against believing what most of these administrators say. I started realizing that the pieces of the puzzle weren't fitting together when a Tamalpais assistant principal asked my parents to search my belongings in an effort to find something trivial that I never even stole. That's an invasion of my privacy. Teachers banned from contacting my parents when I left Tam High is what sounds to me like they wanted to hide the full story so they could, their lawyers could discriminate against me later. I was able to get a hold of an abusive email from lawyer Lenore Silverman depicting me as an out-of-control and dangerous person with things taken out of context used as evidence. This is why teacher communication is prevented in this district, to hide the truth. I am not afraid to expose that truth. Because now we as community members know what is the admin is capable of, firing qualified teachers for revenge against the department, abiding by Kimbrell's non-transparent management style, and exploiting students and families. The cat is out of the bag now, so to speak, and every public comment at the last meeting before, of course, well, I was going to read this last meeting, but the meeting before the Tom O'Hara comments were exposed, every parent that I noticed expressed some sort of concern and teacher. And now I want to continue from last meeting talking about special ed administrators Wes Cedros and Amir Mustafa. After I worked very hard at a treatment center to get my life back together, I was promised a productive senior year at Redwood High School. And a lot of my classes that I wanted to take were denied, classes that I should have been in. My English class, there was a cover-up, and the English class, they said that I'd finished all my English credits because I had taken a class called Humanities at my treatment center, but apparently that was not, and in fact that was not an English class. And they used that to deny me English. And with drama, they didn't tell the drama teachers my full experience, so they could stop me from taking advanced drama the first semester of my senior year. And they didn't let me take regular economics. They said I was finished with government. They didn't let me take chemistry because they said it was too full. I'm sure that wasn't true because I really wanted to take that. And they stuck me in a class called the CEC, which stands for Counseling Enriched Classroom. And they stick kids in there who they claim to be lower functioning to cut down costs, and that's what it seems to me. And because most of these kids, including myself, were perfectly capable of handling other classes. And Amira said that educators believe this. And I believe that to be a lie. Educators believe she said that educators believe that to be the best way for students, and I believe that to be a lie. They fired the teacher, Mr. Thomas, who had taught there the year before I came, and hired one who would go along with the TAM administration instead of advocating for students like the previous teacher had done. From what I heard, he had advocated for the students. And they gave me a therapist who was basically the district's ears and did nothing but support the administration and lie for them. Special Ed Administrator Wes Cedros said my father and I were not at the same page at a meeting, and after realizing what he had tried to do, I can say wholeheartedly that me and my father are now very much on the same page, and now your administration is dealing with a lawsuit for me. And I'm going to end by saying that I will keep coming until all is exposed, and I appreciate support from the teachers and parents. I support them, and I want to make sure this doesn't happen to other students. Thank you.
Thank you, Avery.
My name is Michael McIntosh. I'd like to commend the young gentleman that just had the courage and the integrity to come up here and speak before you, because I hope everybody here listened. Bullies do not always have faces, and I'm here to speak to you about a bully as well as malfeasance, a financial impact to this district. The person I'm referring to, although I feel very sorry for daughters not doing well, is Lori Kimbrell. What prompts this discussion here is after seeing the unwarranted and unmerited attacks against another person in our community, Mr. Wartzman, who I did not know before reading these articles in the paper. In the fall of 2008, I brought my daughter to the Drake High School. After playing games and keeping her out of that school for approximately 2 months, I threatened to sue this school district unless my daughter was allowed to come in. We had to challenge those classes after the poor excuse of, oh, well, she's missed too much class because they're screwing around. She was able to succeed at all those classes and do well, and we went on. In January, I had a residence before that time in Fairfax. In January, my wife's sister had a brain aneurysm, and my wife had to go up to Oregon and spend a week with her. At that time, I moved my residence back to Centerville so I could take care of 2 of my children and get them to school. At that time, Drake High School and this school district authorized having 3 or 4 people following myself and my daughter around the school. At which time they embarrassed my daughter by packing up her books and such in her locker and telling her to leave the school. That prompted a call at approximately 1:30 p.m. to qualify for your meet and confer, with an instruction that at 4:30 that day I would initiate a lawsuit against this district, specifically addressing Lori Kimbrell and Don Drake. They immediately recanted their position and allowed my daughter to come in, where she graduated from Drake High School. We saw continued bullying from this administration throughout the rest of her time at that school. But the thing that I think that this parent body here would like to know is the malfeasance that came with this bullying action. In the spring of 2010, or excuse me, in the spring of 2009, I gave a FOIA to this district, at which time Lori Kimbrell did not want to comply with it. I explained to her that she had 20 days or I would drag her into court, and it'd be quite embarrassing. What I got from that FOIA was a simple request asking the expenditure of public funds used solely to take my daughter out of that school. This district authorized spending not in just the staff time or the principal time to follow us and harass us, but they spent in excess of $40,000 of public funds on just an attorney trying to figure out how they could do this, continue bad politics to try to remove my daughter. That was authorized by this district, spent by this district, and I would assume in 2008 or 2009, that could have substantially paid for one teacher. I'm very disappointed at some of the things I see that appear to continue when I read some of the articles in the newspaper. I hope that at the end of this meeting, and every meeting, that each one of you that came to this district, I'm sure with the intent to try to improve something. I'm sure you came here with the best of intentions to improve your community. I would like to see the results to improve that community. And when I see another child, excuse me, a young man, such as my daughter, and then I have to wonder, how much money did this district spend on harassing that gentleman? Public funds that could have been better spent improving the environment. Please consider those actions and remember why you ran for this board in the first place. That's what we'd like to see as a community. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Najat Dizganesh. I'm Avery Fleischer Dizganesh's dad, who is a graduate of Redwood, and my daughter is in Tam. I have just a small comment regarding audiovisuals. That if a student in the district were to present a presentation like you have on the board here, I think that they would get a failing grade. People can't read what's up there unless they're in the first row. So I would suggest that you put this in some format which is compliant with normal audiovisuals. That's not the main point I'd like to make. There is a request for suggestions for special education. That's going to take place on Thursday, March 19th at the Marin County Office of Education. Marin SELPA, which is the special education organization that's supposed to help all districts, is having an open discussion. Unfortunately, the people whom SELPA is responsible to are the folks running the districts. For example, Ms. Amira Mustafa, that my son mentioned, is on the advisory steering committee. She's the one who denied Avery the courses that he needed to be able to go to a four-year university. And the operational steering committee is chaired by Ms. Laurie Kimbrough. So there's something we were told by somebody at the Department of Education, the California Department of Education, that this is not the case in other states. So I don't know, there isn't much you can do, but I'd like you to be aware that the district folks, the superintendents of the various districts, are basically controlling what SELPA does, and I feel SELPA should be a lot more independent and advocate for students. When we asked SELPA for help, in my son's case, when they were not giving the appropriate courses, they said there's nothing they can do. So it's basically a non-functional organization, and I would urge you to think about how you might be able to improve that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Erin Ashton. I teach science at Tamalpais High School. I'm going to comment on the qualities I'd like to see in our new superintendent. I would like to see our new superintendent harness the incredible energy, ideas, and resources our community has to offer. This is a community that truly cares deeply about our student success, and I feel lucky and privileged to work in a community with that energy and enthusiasm. Our district has a long history of success that should be celebrated in many ways. On these daily appreciation moments like you're talking about at Drake, from community forums like this to our newspaper, and just a small thank you here and there in our hallways. At the same time, we have several critical areas of need that have come out through our WASC process, among others. And one of those that's most alarming to me is that we have an equity problem in our district. And many of our students of color do not have equal access to many of the AP and college preparatory classes that our more privileged students have. I want a leader who is going to be adaptive and make changes. I want that person to be courageous and to be an excellent listener to all of our community stakeholders, but at the same time, be able to be steadfast in making progress towards our district's mission of preparing all of our students for success. And truly believing that, and reflecting upon oneself. If they're not, what can I do to change? I'd like to see our district's leaders be encouraged to create systems and structures that promote both collaboration and professional development. I want a leader who inspires and models a growth mindset through both actions and words. While I believe that decisions should be founded upon both research and experience, educators and leaders in our district need the space and support to be innovative. Like our students, our institution makes the greatest strides when we give each other the space to both share our discoveries, learn from our mistakes, as well as celebrate our achievements. Our district is at a crossroads. As our board, you can choose to be safe yet stagnant, or you can choose to learn from our failures and grow and innovate. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm just going to say, any comments that are qualities for the search are not recorded at these meetings. That'll be at the forums or wherever. So just so that everybody understands that. Yeah. But do join the forums or do the survey and throw it in. Thank you.
I'm here to address the changes to the math curriculum that have already happened at TAM and that are planned for next year at Redwood. These changes have been made despite the fact that 100% of TAM High math teachers voted against them and 85% of Redwood math teachers voted against them. I'm concerned about the adoption of the Core Plus curriculum. Well-done studies published in peer-reviewed journals have shown that there is a direct relationship between students taking the Core Plus curriculum in high school and their needing remedial math in college. I know that your response is probably that there is research to support these math curriculum changes. However, I want you to know that I have a PhD in child development from a major research institution in the top department in this country. My own research has been published by the top peer-reviewed journal in my field. I have been reviewing the literature on math curriculum being implemented at TAM and Redwood for the last couple of weeks. The studies that seem to support the curriculum are so flawed that if your cardiologist were to base his or her treatment of your heart disease on medical research that was similarly flawed, you would have grounds for a whopping malpractice suit, assuming that you survived the treatment. I am concerned that you have done away with leveled math classes at TAM High and that you plan to do so at Redwood. Students with a wide range of math ability are put in the same class. The result is that very few students are getting their needs met and the teachers are put in an impossible situation. Students with a lower level of current ability are failing at high rates, and I have the statistics to back this up. This situation is doing nothing to increase their level of math ability or helping them get into college. Students with a high level of current ability are not learning any math and are therefore not increasing their math ability. This situation is doing nothing to increase their level of math ability. I'm in possession of the outcome data on the math program at TAM High for fall 2014. The results are as follows. In Algebra 1, students who are recommended for P1, P2, 31% pass rate and 69% failure rate. Students who were recommended for Algebra 1, 78% pass rate and a 22% failure rate. Students who were recommended for P3, P4, a 95% pass rate and a 5% failure rate. I also respectfully request that you and the administration stop blaming the math teachers for this situation. Many parents have the same request. Our kids spend their days with these teachers. We don't want to hear you or the administration bad-mouthing them. My experience of the math teachers is that they are devoted to helping their students learn. They volunteer thousands of hours tutoring kids before and after school and during lunch, contributing thousands of volunteer hours to this system. I'm concerned about the system that Tam High is using for math class placement. First, there is a marked lack of transparency in this process. My son came from outside the district. He's a freshman. He had completed Algebra 1 and Geometry in middle school with an A+ in both classes. He scored 100% on STAR testing, yet he was placed in Algebra 1 at TAM based on the placement test. I have asked multiple times which placement test was used, but the school administration has ignored me. I have no idea about the reliability or validity of the placement test used. I took my son to College of Marin to have him take the placement test there, and he placed into the College of Marin Intermediate Algebra. The topics covered in COM, Intermediate Algebra, correspond to the topics covered in TAM High Advanced Algebra, not Algebra 1, which he was placed into. This has caused me to profoundly question the validity of the placement system at TAM. It benefits the new math curriculum to have my son with his easy A in Algebra 1 because it makes the program look good. However, this placement has caused irreparable harm to my son. He has learned nothing in math this year and has been bored out of his mind. His math skills have not progressed any farther than they were when he left 7th grade. Furthermore, he has been put on a math trajectory that will result in his being shut out of admissions to competitive colleges. This feels to me like you are attempting to close the achievement gap by lowering the achievement of the people on the high end. At a time when the expectations for college admissions are rising, expectations of TAM math curriculum are being reduced. I've made 2 requests to meet with the administration at TAM to discuss the system for placing kids in advanced math classes for next year. My requests have been ignored. Implementing this math program in the district amounts to treating your students, our children, as guinea pigs, sacrificing their future prospects to run an experiment, the results of which are already known. This curriculum has already been shown to be detrimental for college math for both high and low performing students. Thank you.
I'm Kathleen Cutter, and I have 2 children who are not yet at the TAM Unified High School District. I'm here to continue about math, I guess, and I hope I won't be too repetitive. The main reason why math program decisions should be made by the math experts, which are the teachers who are currently teaching our students, not administrators who may have been formerly math teachers. They're not in touch with the day-to-day learning of our students. And current teachers understand more about the needs and solutions than the administrators. Student placement decisions should be made by the teachers, parents, and the students, not by administrators, placement tests, or other, I guess, example that she described. Any math option should really be made by the students and their parents with the guidance of their math teachers and their counselor, not the administration, to get to them to the goals that they want, whether it be college or community college or just life math skills that we all need, whether we run a small business or we are in a big corporation. I'd like to request a return to leveled math classes with access and opportunity for all, putting a full range of student math ability, like she was saying, where everybody's in the same classroom. It doesn't serve the top third of the class or the bottom third of the class. And she was saying the top third are bored and the bottom third are failing or not understanding that they need extra help. Those supports for the extra help need to be put by for those failing or students needing help, and those shouldn't be other kids in the same classroom. They should be teachers. Teachers are paid, they're professionals to teach students. Students are not professionals. They don't, they need to be learning their own math. I would like to propose leveled math tracks that should be implemented in a clear way so students can follow a high school math sequence that will help them achieve their goals. For instance, like a life skills class, a life math skills class, which includes something like business, math, accounting, economics, and a college prep class for the Bachelor of Arts, and maybe also one for college prep for engineering and math sciences. These are totally different sequences. And math skills are needed by all, so these can serve all levels of students, low achieving and high achieving. I also would like to know the ELM results. These are the UC CSU's reports. These are the tests that students have to take who don't take the AP exam. These are the one, every other student that doesn't take an AP exam has to take the ELM test. And that test will determine what course they take in college. Will they enter at calculus, which is required by the UC system, or will they have to, or will they be in pre-calc, and that's for the CSU system. We need an external evaluation of our math programs to measure the programs. Internal measures such as grades and progression scales have too much subjectivity to be the only measure of program quality. For example, if we have a high pass rates for AP Math, it suggests that we have a strong program. And a low pass rates of the ELM test suggests that we need for a higher standard in our math courses here. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Kevin Killingsworth. I have a student at TAM, and I'm here to express my disgust at the investigation that was done of Lori Kimbrell's involvement in cyberbullying. To recap, the victim was viciously attacked in online postings with defamatory remarks, and Kimbrell's husband subsequently took the blame for making those postings. But since the board was notified of this attack nearly 3 months ago, what has the victim received? Certainly no apology. In fact, the only thing he's received is a letter from the district accusing him of making personal attacks. Attack the victim. That's what this board has done. So let's talk about the investigation. The board asked the same law firm who previously reamed out the victim and declares Kimbrell's innocent to hire the investigator. How would anybody possibly think that is an independent decision? And then the letter sent to the TAM community by Ms. McCauley, supposedly speaking for the board, starts by downplaying the defamatory online attack as inappropriate social media postings. Gosh, hardly sounds like nothing. Then it goes on. A thorough investigation was conducted and found no evidence Lori Kimbrell was involved. The TAM community is not told, but we find out later this thorough investigation did not involve talking to the victim and getting all the evidence he has. How can that possibly be labeled thorough? And what about the key conclusion of this investigation? No evidence was found. Well, it's a funny thing about evidence. If you don't look for it, you often don't find it. And if somebody plops it in front of you and you turn your head away, you're not going to find it either. So in summary, the board had a law firm who had previously declared Kimbrell's innocence select the investigator. The investigator didn't talk to the victim and review all the evidence. And the board declares a thorough investigation was done that found no evidence she was involved. That is just such an obvious sham, it's appalling. And to top it off, to bring in the students on this, you spent $9,000 plus of their money that could have been used for student programs on a pointless investigation that was a complete sham. And finally, if this were a legitimate investigation, I would think Lori Kimbrell and the board would be happy to release it to the public. But no, you've refused to do so. This whole episode is rotten, and our students deserve far, far better than this.
Hi, my name is Bella Burns, and I'm here as both a parent and an employer in the Bay Area. And with 2 young boys, my husband, I dragged my very English husband back to the Bay Area to run specifically for the phenomenal public school district. And I've been a little bit surprised in the last couple of years to hear some of the spirited debate / downright slightly nasty things that a lot of the teachers and administrators are spending their times on instead of passionately teaching and sharing the knowledge and helping with the curiosity of these wonderful young minds. without spending too much time on this, I've been really fortunate to hire teams in the US, here in the Bay Area, in Asia, in Europe, and the most successful team members are the ones who are coming out of school who have done team project. They've learned about global issues, local issues, global issues, and are applying math, literature, science, technology, and drawing from all of those things in quite unique ways, some quite traditional ways. It's been a pleasure to see those young people succeed in small organizations, in huge companies, internationally. And it worries me as a parent and as an employer that some of that amazing passion and teaching and sort of spirit of curiosity and innovation is being beaten down by a whole, it sounds like, and again, I don't know a lot of what some of these acronyms were that were being thrown out tonight because I don't work within the school district. But if anything, as a mother of 2 young boys and as an employer, I would love for the teachers to get back to teaching and to do what you love and pass on your knowledge and your creativity and your curiosity, and to facilitate that in every way that you can through a ever-evolving curriculum. And that is how our country was founded. It was how things are changing in healthcare. It's through an evolution. We can't stand still. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name's Charlie Dietrich. I have 2 students, or 2 young children. One's a student in the public park school, and one hopefully will be going there. And I wanted to make a comment regarding the new leadership and the search for the new leadership. I'm speaking from a context, I run startup companies in the San Francisco. And you know, as we look for a new leader, it seems that there's 3 things that are really important. There's an organization, which is part here. There's the people, the individual students, as well as the people sitting here. And then there's the support of the community. From an organizational perspective, things are changing faster and faster, as everyone can see. You don't start companies and build companies without making radical shifts. And I know education is something that we have to handle very carefully, but from the former superintendent to what we're looking for next, I think we need to advocate someone who's going to make some radical changes, simply because things are accelerating. And without radical change, we're not going to get the innovation that's required. From a student perspective, we need to foster this sort of curiosity and innovation in design forward thinking, which is happening most centrally in San Francisco and the Bay Area. I mean, we're in the hub of it, and if we can't embrace it in our own school, we're going to be at a serious inequality with schools that are embracing it, as well as setting up our students in an environment where they're not well suited to even deal with the sorts of situations that their parents are dealing with at work. They should be ahead of us in terms of innovation and curiosity. And then the last point is on the support. You know, personally, I'm here thanks to my wife advocating me to be here, but we have an incredible pool of entrepreneurs and innovators in the Bay Area. And just looking at this room isn't really set up to handle many more people than this. So one is like this environment isn't really set up to foster pulling these people in. And I'm sure that's just the tip of the iceberg. So I would advocate that we look for ways to pull our community more into this problem and make some more radical changes. Thank you.
I again want to just remind you, you'll be getting, as an elementary school parent, you will be getting a notice of where to go to give input for the new superintendent. Just so anybody who has elementary students, we are also including you as a stakeholder group.
Good evening. My name is Kay Cavan. I have been teaching English at Drake for 16 years. And prior to that, I taught in the West Contra Costa District for another dozen or so. And I'm going to be very brief. I'm mostly serving as a figurehead to introduce not my team, but our amazing team. Last week, when the board was discussing qualities challenges in the district, I was gratified to hear one board member mention, and I hope this is something that's shared by all of you, that we need to shift the conversation from being a conversation about adults, which has dominated this conversation for a long time, to being one that's about students and always putting students first. So the team that we are here tonight, most of us are here tonight, we serve about 2/3 of the freshmen and sophomores at Drake High School, a large majority of them. And we have some deeply held beliefs about students and their learning. And I'm just going to summarize them and then let my more eloquent colleagues finish up for me. So we believe that all students, all of them, deserve preparation for the rapidly transforming world that we know they need to be prepared for. And we also believe that all of our students, all of them, need to graduate from a district with a wealth of resources like we have UC and CSU ready, all of them, without exception. We believe that schools are not places where teachers come to teach. We believe that schools are places where students come to learn, that that's the function of the building and everything in it. We believe that we need to move away from a model where we talk about things like teachers delivering instruction to a model where we talk about teachers causing learning to happen in their classrooms every day for every kid. We believe that all students deserve rigorous and engaging curriculum supported by research, supported by technology, supported by real-world applications. And again, did I mention all students? That's what we believe. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chizzy Brown. I've been an English teacher in the district for 18 years. I teach in the TREC Small Learning Community at Drake with Dan Freeman, Jen Mall, Kathleen McCormick, Cooper Clark, and Bill Scarez. I'm also the English department teacher leader, and I'm part of the New Tech cohort at Drake that includes the TREC and Galileo Small Learning Communities, as well as members of the CDISC Academy. I participate, as you can see, I participate in several collaborative environments in my work as a teacher. And I provide this context in order to emphasize the point or the comments I want to make about the importance of professional collaboration in relation to student learning. As Kay Cavan pointed out, in order to navigate this new learning landscape, it's imperative that teachers work together to serve student learning. I would like to take this time to acknowledge and applaud the board and the district leadership for having the awareness and vision to set up structures and systems to recognize this changing landscape and encourage teacher collaboration that puts student learning first, specifically through the professional learning collaboration model and the opportunity to work with the New Tech Network. I feel very fortunate to be able to work with a team of teachers who share a common belief, vision, and most importantly, ambition around student learning, who believe that all students can learn, that all students must demonstrate a high level of proficiency in all academic areas in order to be prepared for post-secondary pursuits, that students need regular and consistent feedback about their learning and the opportunity to show their learning in a variety of ways, and that all students must show continuous growth and improvement in their learning. The PLC work and the collaboration with New Tech requires us teachers to not only share instructional practices and strategies, but also share the results of these through student learning results of our work. It requires teachers to do the things we ask students to do all the time: take risks, be vulnerable, seek feedback, and trust each other. This work has proven profoundly transformative in terms of student learning and student success in our classes. It is the most demanding and the most rewarding work we've ever done in our careers, and we're proud of our work together. I hope that the board and the district will continue to put student learning first by fostering and expecting a high level of professional collaboration that focuses on student learning and student success. This, to me, is the optimal environment for all students to learn. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kathleen McCormick. I'm a social studies teacher at Drake High School. I've taught 15 years at Drake, and before that I taught 5 years in Solano County. I would like to speak to you tonight about my experiences over the last few years and how I would like to see the district move forward by maintaining its focus on collaboration and student learning. I'll try not to be too repetitive. My role as a teacher has changed dramatically since I first started teaching in 1995. No longer am I the one who has the knowledge to impart to my students. They have access to so many resources at their fingertips. Teaching solely through a stand and deliver style creates passive learners, which is not preparing students for the world today. Preparing students for our world today requires students to be able to think critically, collaborate, and innovate. I've had a variety of experiences during my time at Drake, but yet over the last few years, I've decided to deeply reflect upon my practice, more so to better prepare students for the challenges they will face after high school. This year, I jumped at the opportunity to work with some of my colleagues here today that have spoken already and that are behind me. We have created together a collaborative learning environment. We teach humanities in a project-based classroom, teaching both history and English. This has been a most challenging and rewarding year. As a group, we strive to create rigorous and relevant projects for our students that ask them to study real-world problems with the support of technology, as they would use in a workplace. We are regularly seeking feedback from students, colleagues, instructional coaches, so that we may constantly reflect upon and improve our practice. This requires risk-taking and a growth mindset, which is also the qualities we hope to see in our students. We strive to provide a safe learning environment for which students feel safe and can take risks. I am very proud of the work we are doing because I feel I am able to reach students in ways that I have not seen in the past through targeted instruction and a collaborative environment. I have been given this space by the district, by my administrators, by my colleagues in order to do this important work, and I look forward to continuing that with more colleagues at Drake and district-wide. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky.
Hi there, thank you. My name is Dan Freeman. I'm the parent of 2 children who attend school in the Ross Valley School District. I've been a high school teacher in Marin for 21 years, 3 years in Nevada Unified, and 18 years in the TAM Union, all of them at Drake High School. I'll share just a personal story. 2 years ago as a teacher, I felt that I was stagnating. I loved my job, I loved the kids, I loved my school, I loved the people I worked with. But when it came to teaching, I felt like I wasn't improving. I needed something to get me focused, so I went to my students and I told them about my class and about my teaching. I asked them, was my class a positive environment? Was it safe for risk-taking? Did I allow for student choice? Do I do the job I need to do to promote academic success for all students? Do I allow freedom of thought? In short, I asked them to assess me against everything I hoped to be for them as a teacher. They told me where I was great. And there was some stuff that was great, really. Where I was good, and they told me where I needed work. They were honest. They told me that I needed to do better at providing an environment where they felt motivated. And they told me that I needed to do better at creating classroom systems and structures. That was my feedback. I took those ideas, that feedback, and I sought out new ideas. I examined new grading strategies with the help of my colleagues who are here, collaborating with them. I sought deeper collaboration amongst my colleagues to work closer with them to see what they were doing and gain from them. And I looked for a meaningful way and a targeted way to integrate technology into my classroom to expand learning opportunities. All with the help and support of these colleagues, with the help of site administration and with the help and support of the district office. Now, 2 years later, my students are more motivated than ever, completing more work and of a higher quality than I've ever been able to see from my students. My students revise their work more than I've ever seen, because they know that hard work is the key to academic success. That's a lesson that many are learning. Some haven't yet, but we continue to work with them. We haven't given up. The expectations and procedures are so much more clear that at any time, my students can tell me what the learning goal is, where they are in that learning process, and what they need to do next to achieve a learning goal. I am thrilled to be able to say that at this moment, I am more excited about teaching right now than I ever have been. I look forward to future opportunities to improve my craft. I am grateful for the guidance and support I've received from my colleagues at Drake, from my colleagues from around the district, and from here at the district office, as I continue to strive towards the goal of success for all students. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Mall, and I'm here today as a teacher. I've been teaching for 12 years, 9 of those in this district, and I'm also here as a parent in the Corte Madera Larkspur School District. I currently have a daughter at the Cove School, and I have 2 more going there next year. And I bring that up because every day I'm on a campus that inspires me. And I see what happens when a community and a board and a group of teachers and administration comes together and sees what can be. It's there, and it's in our community, and they're leap years ahead of us. And I bring that here today because I believe that we are at a crossroads in this district. The rhetoric that we've been hearing, not only in these meetings, but in our hallways and our sites, is that innovation and technology are in opposition to the excellence of this district. And I think that is a false dichotomy. We cannot ignore the changing landscape of education in the world around us, and our students need it more than we do. The other pressures that we are watching our students, I'm sorry, I'm going off script because they've covered all the other stuff. But over the last 10 years, I've been an AP teacher, and I've watched at Drake 2 seconds of AP composition go to 5. And I've watched the kids that are taking those classes go from doing 2 hours of homework night to doing 5 to 7. And last year, I really rethought how I taught my class. And I cut my homework down to 1/3, I'm sorry for all those other students, of what I did before. And Zoe, one of my students there, appreciated it. But we figured out a way together, students and teacher, how they could access the content they needed in that AP course to be as successful as the students that took it before, and not have the stress associated with that. And that is our job as teachers. That is our job right now, to look at what an experience of a high school student is right now. It is incredibly stressful, and we as teachers need to stop being the ones adding to that stress and working with students to figure out how we can make schools a place to learn and grow and take risks and collaborate and still go to college.
Good evening. I'm Raquel Nelson, and I have worked in 2 previous school districts, but I have been at Drake since 2005, and I have taught in the Galileo Small Learning Community since 2006. I'm also a mother in this district as well, well, in the 2 districts. I have a son that's a sophomore at Drake, and I have a 7th grader who is at White Hill. Thank you for listening to what I have to say tonight. Voice. Expression in spoken or written words or by other means. Spoken, written, or by other means. There are a lot of voices saying many different things on various subjects for varied purposes. Quiet voices, loud voices, and everything in between. Whose voice do we listen to? Whose voice should we listen to? The voice of reason. The people whose actions speak louder than their words, the thoughtful, the rational, the educated voices in our community who push us to be better educators every single day. The voice of challenge, the research, professional development, coaching, leadership, and students who demand that our classrooms be safe places for learning and growth, failure and success, relevance and meaning, rigor and opportunity. There are many voices, sometimes a cacophony of sound that makes it difficult to hear what's most important to understand. Our students' voices should drown out all of that noise. Our students' voices should be the ones we listen to the most closely. Their very presence speaks to an overwhelming need. They want an education that prepares them for today, tomorrow, and for the years to come. They demand to be given every opportunity to succeed. They are saying they want choice. They are speaking about their future, and they care deeply how we help them make it one full of promise and meaning. Every single student in this district deserves that. Students' voices, spoken, written, or by other means, are the loudest, and I'm listening. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Leslie Lundgren, and I have a parent. I do this every time. I have a child at TAM, and I have two children that were previously at TAM in 2007 and 2008. And I have to say I've been very heartened to hear many of these teachers speak tonight. It is nice to hear that there's some positive experiences. At the same time, it concerns me because it says to me you have a bigger problem than you would have if everyone agreed. And it doesn't mean that one side is right and one side is wrong, which I tend to think tends to happen during these discussions. But I'd also like to say that I have yet to meet a teacher that is not able to change, that does not want to use innovation, that's not concerned about preparing the children for college, giving them choices. And I'm yet to meet a teacher in this district that doesn't want to teach all the children and does not want to provide an opportunity to all the children. Likewise, I've yet to meet a parent that doesn't feel that way. And where I get concerned is that for instance, when I've raised the question about how do you teach 30 kids when you have some kids that aren't ready for the class at all and others that are succeeding, it's a question. I don't need to hear that our school district cares about all kids and all kids deserve a chance. Of course, I feel that way too. But my impression as a parent is that there's some very good ideas, but it's been rolled out perhaps in a way that hasn't been completely vetted. Perhaps there is an issue that, we looked at Los Altos High School. Did we really look at how they rolled out combining their math? Did you look at how they do have 2 classes, that they have tutoring, that they have summer school? And it's those sorts of things that I'd rather the conversation be about, rather than hearing that, somehow we don't care about the children or we should focus on the children. Personally, I work full-time. Like many of the people here do. Everyone has busy lives. This is really not where I tend to, I want to come. But I'm here for the children, but I am raising concerns, and I think I share that with many people. In closing, I have repeatedly suggested to the board that when you hear themes of topics, do you make those themes an agenda item or you follow up? Because what happens is that people get more and more frustrated because we look at you, we tell you what our concerns are, and you politely stare back at us. And I understand that during this, the public comment, you can't say much, but you do have an opportunity to take that information. It would probably help us to hear from you, so if you're not able to because of the Brown Act, I'm asking you formally to set up a workshop, some sort of venue that maybe just 2 of you are there, and I'd really like to have to hear more from the teachers, and I'd like you, maybe Chuck, you could facilitate that. You're a former teacher. We need to work on this because, like you say yourselves, there's misinformation. Well, give us the information then. And I'm really happy to hear that there are teachers that are inspired, that are happy here because the alternative is pretty dismal if that were not the case. On the other hand, that doesn't make their job any easier. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie.
Hello, I'm Benedetto Chico. I have 2 kids here at Redwood. One is a Redwood graduate, and I have a younger daughter at Eden Valley. I've been in our public school system, I believe, for the last 17 years. And I'm afraid that beside Mr. Ford, I'm the oldest guy. Maybe you in the room. So I've been through many of the stories like this and many board meetings. I came here to talk about math at Redwood, but sincerely, after hearing some other items coming up, I'll talk about them, and maybe at the end I'll be able to squeeze in about math. You said about the survey. I'd like to know if you have, and you should really publish that in the name of what Leslie said, transparency and communication. What are the parameters by which you will handle the data and how data will be released to the public? I don't want the data from this survey disappear again in that dungeon that's somewhere under the IT department that our district is, with the listening campaign data, with the new tech campaign survey at Drake and so on. The district has a very bad history of not releasing data, so I would like you to address that and make a public communication. Who is going to manage the data, who is going to have access to the data, and when and how the public will be able to look into the data. So let me know if I should follow up with a formal request or if you're going to take note of that. Then I was extremely concerned by the TAM teacher who said that African Americans at TAM do not have access to AP classes. Is that true? I mean, 50 years from Selma, we have kids in our schools in Marin County who cannot have access to AP because of their color. I would like the teachers to clarify that. That's extremely concerning to me if this is going on, and should be clearly a concern to everybody. So I hope that the board will follow up and see the meaning of that declaration. And about the bullying, that kid that's been coming up is not here anymore. I don't know, for the last 3 months, have you taken any action? Have you had any meeting? Have you followed up with any administrator to figure out if what he's saying is true or not? I don't know. I'm seeing it only out here. It could be completely crazy or it could be right on target. Have you done anything about that? Are you going to do anything about what the other parent just said about the bullying at Drake? You stay there, stone face, you take notes, and then, again, what's going on? You have a black hole of complaints never coming back, on planet Earth. Then, again, I came here last meeting. What's going on? I wish the best to Miss Kimball's daughter, of course, all of us. But what's going on with Miss Kimball? Is she still coming day by day to the office? What's going on? Have you asked any of your endless consultants what any other public or private company would do with a senior manager being basically resigned? Nobody would show up. She should be on a leave of absence. Are you taking that into consideration? If you are, who is running the show? You should let us know, following Macaulay, what you have there on the poster. Then, about technology and about what's going on here about change. The parent with the elementary school, this is not evolution. What happened here is determinism by God, by a couple of people who told the teachers what to do. It is the opposite of evolution, what we had here as change. We had a couple of people telling everybody else what to do, with many, many different means, including the risk of losing their job. So let's hope finally that that change doesn't come by force, but comes by true team meeting, team playing. And going to that, do I have a minute? Okay. About math at Redwood. Let's say that this is the General Motors board, and we call in 15 engineers and we ask them what is the best engine. And 13 of them say, you know what, that transmission sucks. It's not going to work. What do? You use that transmission. This is what happened at Redwood with the math programs. You had 13 out of 15 teachers telling you that that's not the way to go, and what you do, you use that. So I hope the board will follow up with that and see why, if we keep telling that the teachers are at the center, and I agree with that, of our children's education, why you don't listen to the teachers. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Mr. Kinko, note on your calendar, April 7th is when the